The doctor gave him 6 months to live. He gave himself a final mission: to find the 7 people he'd broken and try to put them back together. His name was Arthur, a man who had lived a life of sharp edges and burned bridges. Now, with the clock ticking down, he wasn't looking for a miracle cure. He was looking for something much harder to find: redemption. The diagnosis had been brutally simple: a shadow on a scan, a doctor's somber voice, and the world shifting on its axis. 6 months. The words echoed in the sterile quiet of the examination room. That night, Arthur didn't sleep. He sat with a pen and a cheap notebook, the ghosts of his past swirling around him. By dawn, he had a list: 7 names. 7 people whose lives were worse for having known him. The first name was his younger brother, Leo. They hadn't spoken in a decade, not since a bitter argument over their parents' inheritance ended with Arthur walking away with the lioness share, leaving Leo with scraps and a heart full of resentment. He found Leo running a small bookstore in a quiet town 3 states away. When Arthur walked in, the bell above the door chimed, and Leo looked up. The recognition was instant, followed by a cold, hard mask. "What do you want, Arthur?" he asked, his voice flat. Arthur didn't start with the diagnosis. He started with the truth. "I was wrong," he said, his own voice sounding foreign. "I was greedy and selfish, and I stole from you. Not just the money. I stole our brotherhood." He explained everything: the hollow victory, the years of regret. He offered to sign everything over to him. Leo just stood there, staring, his arms crossed. He didn't accept the money, not right away. He just said, "I'll think about it," and turned back to his books. It wasn't forgiveness, but it wasn't a slam door either. It was a start. Next was Clara, his ex-fiancée. He'd left her 2 weeks before their wedding, consumed by a fear of commitment he couldn't articulate. He'd just disappeared, leaving a note that said, "I can't." He found her through an old mutual friend. She was a landscape architect now, happily married with 2 kids. When he called, her voice was wary. He asked if he could see her, just for a coffee, just for 10 minutes. She agreed, meeting him at a busy cafe. She looked happy, content in a way he'd never been. Seeing her didn't stir old feelings of romance, but of profound shame. "Clara," he began, his hands trembling slightly around his cup. "There's no excuse for what I did. I was a coward. You were building a beautiful life for us, and I tore it down because I was scared. I'm so sorry for the pain, the humiliation I put you through." She listened, her expression unreadable. When he finished, she took a slow sip of her latte. "It took me a long time to get over that, Arthur," she said softly. "A very long time. But I did. I have a wonderful life now. I hope you find some peace." She stood up, offered a small, sad smile, and walked away. There was no anger, just a final, quiet closing of a chapter. For Arthur, her peace was a strange and painful gift. It meant she had healed, but it also cemented his place as a painful memory she had to overcome. The journey was taking its toll. The long drives, the sleepless nights in cheap motels, the constant dredging up of his worst moments. It was exhausting. Some days, the illness made itself known with a dull ache that spread through his bones, a constant reminder of his deadline. He met with an old business partner he'd cheated, a friend he'd betrayed for a promotion, and a mentor whose trust he had shattered. Each meeting was a new kind of difficult. The business partner threatened to call the police. The friend cried, not with forgiveness, but with the fresh pain of a reopened wound. The mentor just looked at him with disappointment, a gaze that was somehow worse than rage. With each confession, Arthur felt a piece of his armor chip away. He wasn't defending himself or making excuses. He was just laying his failures bare. And in that vulnerability, something unexpected began to happen. The crushing weight of guilt he'd carried for decades started to feel lighter. It wasn't absolution. It was acknowledgement. It was the simple, profound act of facing the truth. He was finding a strange clarity in his final days. The world seemed more vibrant, the taste of coffee richer, the kindness of strangers more meaningful. He spent an afternoon watching kids play in a park, feeling a sense of connection to the simple joy of the moment, a feeling he'd chased away his entire adult life. He was learning that forgiveness wasn't something you get, but something you do. It was in the apology, in the act of owning your part in someone's pain, regardless of their reaction. His mission wasn't about erasing his past. It was about honoring the people he'd hurt by finally telling them they had deserved better. The physical pain was a constant companion now, but the emotional turmoil was quieting, replaced by a fragile sense of peace. He had spent his life running from himself, and now, at the very end, he was finally turning to face the man in the mirror. He wasn't a good man, not yet, but he was trying, and for the first time, that felt like enough. 6 names crossed off the list. 6 difficult, gut-wrenching, and strangely liberating encounters. Now, only one name remained. The last name, the one he had saved for the end because it was the hardest. It was the name of his daughter, Maya. He had abandoned her and her mother when she was just a toddler, disappearing from their lives completely. He'd sent money over the years, guilt payments sent from a distance, but he hadn't seen her face or heard her voice in over 20 years. He didn't know what she looked like, what she sounded like, or what kind of person she had become. All he knew was that he was the father who had walked away. He drove for 2 days, his body aching, his heart pounding a nervous rhythm against his ribs. He found the address, a small house with a well-tended garden in front. He parked across the street, his hands gripping the steering wheel, his breath catching in his throat. This was it, the final name, the deepest cut. He had no right to be here, no right to ask for anything. But he had to try. Taking a deep, shaky breath, he got out of the car. He walked up the stone path, his steps heavy, each one a lifetime of regret. He stood before the front door, his hand raised, hovering just inches from the wood. Would she even open it? And if she did, what would she see? A monster? A ghost? A dying man looking for one last, impossible piece of grace? If you were moved by Arthur's journey, please like this video and share it with someone who might appreciate the story. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss what happens next. Thanks for watching.